Good morning, and it's Lilia from Heal Scotland and Scotland's Wild Medicine Festival. Festivals and book retreats here with Jason Stone. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Lilia. I'm doing quite perfect, thank you.
That's
Yourself?
great, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm great. I'm actually I'm excited about the festival in Strontian now because all the kind of like 3 festivals is quite a lot to organise and market, etc. So I kind of feel like, right, we're on the home straight. All I just have to do is rock up and enjoy it. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm very excited about this new workshop because this is a first. And I think it's so important, obviously, because we bang on about grounding all the time. So tell us, well, first of all, just start telling everybody what it is that you do.
So I run outdoor activities as well as have an online web shop and go to markets and events to help promote that stuff. But generally speaking, all the things that I'm selling are all very relevant to the activities that we're doing, and whether that's just grounding yourself and being outside, or if that's walking a hillside for 12 hours or going camping. Um, so, so yeah, I'm a very outdoorsy, crafty person, but the shoes really are the foundation of it all. That's really where it starts, and that's kind of also where it ends. Is our foundations, I feel like, and I feel like a lot of us we put so much effort into everything above the feet, but no one really pays any attention to the foundations. And I think that's really a super important one. So if people want a chance to make their own shoes next week at Strontian at the gathering, there will be a chance for that. Up to about 6 people. You can book online, Lilia says. And it's about
I will
40
put,
quid.
if you would like to book for this workshop, it's £40 because obviously there's a product, leather, that has to be supplied. And it's a small workshop. And email Lilia at Heal Scotland to book, and you can pay Jason on the day. So please bring cash, and you can pay in the day. And please don't book unless you're actually going to come because it is a short, small workshop. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when I met you, Jason, it was kind of, I think the first time was up in Skye,
Yeah.
and but really when you came to Tarbert, that was when I realised really you had very, very important information that personally, in terms of health, I just hadn't thought about. And that's our clothes. I mean, I know about shoes. I mean, I wear barefoot shoes, but they're not grounded. I do have a set of grounded shoes as well now. So I'm very aware of grounding. But there was much, much more than that. When you remember, I asked you to do the top, and first of all, you're a bit like, "Oh, I'm not sure I can do it," and then I was like, "Well, there's a space there for you," and we're so glad because you kind of stole everybody's hearts with the story. So, do you want to just give a little bit of an overview of how you kind of came from knowing that you were meant to be out in the forests and on the land to then being told you had to kind of get real, which I'm sure is not an uncommon story, done from a place of love. But then as you kind of went back out, how your health had suffered. So just kind of give us that overview of that story because it's so relevant.
Yeah. I'll try to keep it a bit brief. So when I was growing up for the first few years of my life, I had a forest opposite from the house where I was living. And then at about the age of 5, I moved to the Netherlands together with my mum, my Dutch stepdad, and my brother. And there I was really passionately wanting to be outdoors as well, because that was the only place where I kind of felt at home. And then at one point, my mum said, "Jason, you can't just live out in the forest and hunt deer." And there'd be some people in Scotland who would disagree with that. And so yeah, what that really did was it kind of crushed my spirit in a couple of things, and I didn't quite realize that until I was about 21. And I realized that that where I do feel comfortable and at home is outside, and it's where things make sense, things fall into place. It's where we come from, and it's where we'll go to as well when we die. And I really resonate with that. And so the shoes was my feet. I felt like I couldn't stand on my own feet, physically nor metaphorically. And this is where making the shoes kind of came into the whole picture. And I tried barefoot shoes for a few years, but I hadn't changed the way that I was walking on my feet, which, as you can imagine, didn't really do much good. In fact, it just made things worse. But the moment I started to put some intention into just like with a hand being able to wiggle all the toes and being able to grab stuff with it and basically just do yoga with it, and exercising and putting love into it, that's really what it boils down to. And then I decided, yeah, you know what, I'll try to make my own shoes, Iron Age kind of shoes, and I'll show you a little image for everyone here who's wondering what I'm talking about. So,
Yes.
I don't know if you can see very well, but as you can see, it's got these flaps at the front, and it's made one piece of leather and some parachute cordage, and it's got some soling material on it that I put on there myself. And ever since I've started doing this, my flat-footedness, which for a decade physiotherapy couldn't help, had almost entirely disappeared within about 4 months of serious use and dedication. And now also don't get cold feet anymore. I used to twist my ankles on trails walking the whole time. Like a few years ago, I did a trail in Sweden, 400 something kilometers, and every day I was twisting my ankles. It was absolute hell. But now that just doesn't happen anymore. Don't twist my ankles. I don't have cold feet. I don't have knee pains anymore, and my back pains are mostly gone as well because of it. And of course, the main big effect is that I'm able to actually walk the hills again instead of having to call up my lecturers in the uni and say like, hey, I don't think I can finish this course because I don't think my actual feet and my legs are going to be able to do it. So instead of accepting the feet, it came to accepting the feet.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's all, when you think about it, it's fairly obvious. You know, the body's designed to walk without the kind of crazy shoes that we're, you know, kind of drawn in to believe that we needed, that we would have better performance, run faster, blah, blah, blah. It's just, you know, another thing that we've been told that's really not accurate. But also, I think if you're used to wearing these shoes, you have to gently kind of get yourself back in. Because I lived in Malta, I was always in my bare feet, very, very rarely, only if I went into the streets. And even then, quite often, I would be in my bare feet. I just had my bare feet all the time. So I'm very, very used to it. Wearing my barefoot sandals all the time, and any time I get a chance, my shoes are off. So I think that the other thing that became obvious with talking to you was your socks. Because really we're talking about the interaction between the body and the land and why you would put synthetic stuff in there. It makes no sense. And I mean, that's why I think when I heard you speak, it was just so obvious to me, but it had never occurred to me. I know that we put plastic soles in shoes, and that cuts off basically our battery charger.
Yeah.
But I hadn't also thought about the socks, which again, very obvious. So talk to us about socks as well, please.
Yeah. Well, ideally, they've all got to be wool, because cotton, of course, doesn't stay warm when it's dry. It doesn't really last that long either, and smells quite quickly. And so does all the synthetic stuff, polyester and nylon. Yes, they might last a bit longer, but they smell really bad very quickly. And not only that, but it keeps a static charge within our body, and so we're like a battery that gets worked up, like a capacitor that can't release its energy. So hence why, even if you would have some simple leather soles on the shoes, but you'd be wearing polyester socks, and even just any polyester or nylon clothing for that matter does the same with us, just not to the same degree. So yeah, grounding would be difficult if you don't have wool socks on. And this is also another thing, wool. It's just, wool is an amazing material, and I think there's so much more we could do with it. It's dead cheap. We're throwing it in the ground. We're buying it from afar, and there's absolutely no reason for it. And we can do it all at home. We've got the materials. We've got the people. We've got the landscape. It's all possible. We've just got to have the initiative. So hopefully at some point you'll be seeing some socks that will be coming from my end. I'll be able to supply, hopefully. But yeah.
Yeah, well, you very kindly gifted me a wool hat, because you really did get me thinking about clothing for health and for connection to the field, because everything I teach is about that. The body's an energy system, interacting with an energy system, and I really hadn't given the clothing much thought. And also the other thing that you said, which was obvious, but I hadn't thought about it, was who said your feet should never get wet and cold? And why would you not expect your body to interact with the climate and the temperatures? So could you just speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a really nice point, actually. Yeah, so traditionally, well, I won't say traditionally, but in the last 60 odd years, we've made it very much a fad that whenever we go outdoors, we want our kit to be comfortable or comforting us, in the sense that it's keeping us outside of the elements, which for survival reasons makes sense. You know, you want to be able to be kept alive when you're on a hill walk. But for the long-term effects of that, what it means is that we're desensitizing ourselves to our environment, and we're not quite letting our body co-regulate with our ecosystem around us, just like we would expect our gut biome to be similar inside of us as it is on the soil outside. I think we should kind of think the same about our heating capacities that we have internally. And I think this is also why a lot of people get into trouble when they just get their kit wet once, because they don't expect it, and then they get cold and the wind hits them and they're not prepared for it. Their body is not attuned to anything like that ever happening. So the moment they have to learn is in a moment of distress, and we usually don't work well with learning during stress. But I think the best time to try these things out is in our free time. It's not only from a practical standpoint is this kind of important for safety, but I think also from a more mental and spiritual standpoint, we should be trying to engage more with the elements, because that's all we are. We're all the wind, we're all the soil, we're all the air and the fire, and anything else you want to stick in between it. And getting us to interact with that instead of isolating ourselves in this bubble with puffer jackets and plastic things, that makes us more like people who are astronauts than anyone who's trying to engage with their natural environment. And so it's kind of ironic that the one thing that a lot of us say that we're doing, which is getting out there and connecting with nature, is actually the opposite. We're not. We're looking at it from you might as well put a screen in front of your face and look through your eyes, because there's no way you're feeling it or sensing it. You're not breathing it in. You're not feeling the wind and the cold on your face. You're not feeling the wet of your soaked shoes when you're outside or barefoot. Yeah, it's the sensory intake that I think is so important for our body to be able to co-regulate with its environment. And I think that's kind of what it boils down to, if it could.
Yes, I think that's beautifully explained. And what I'm thinking is with natural light, because, well, we perceive, and the science is kind of telling us that a lot of the benefits of the vitamin D are coming in through the eyes, and maybe 10%, I don't know how they know this, but let's assume there is that coming in through the skin and how the light interacts with the skin. And if these rays that don't tan us are having an impact on the body, if we're wearing natural fibers, like sheep clothing, basically, then that would make sense, because literally what we've done is it's like glasses, sunglasses, contacts, glasses, and some people need to wear glasses, I'm not saying that, but SPF, keep the sun off your face, keep rays off your face, clothing, plastic, and it's literally hats. Literally, we're literally putting almost like a Faraday cage around ourselves that's keeping us away from the life force. Is essential for us to be charged and vital and alive. And then, but not only that, so we're saying that we're keeping it away. Can we then engage more with the natural rays and frequencies? Because that's what it is now, isn't it? You're just like, that grass is 528. And there's a frequency to all of this. And if these frequencies are being felt, heard by the body, we stay more healthier. And I met a beautiful girl up at the Health Hub, a therapist, young girl. She sent her client who was in for a Reiki session. She said, take your wee dog to the forest, go into the canopy of the trees. I mean, this is music to my ears, hearing this. And she said, everything that we've got, all the far infrared, near infrared, vitamin D cabinet, PMF, we're mimicking nature, because we are. I was talking about this at the last festival. That's how dumb we are. it's like we've taken all the nutrition out the soil and then we're selling you back the supplements to counteract that. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? Why not get the soil healthy again and stop
Yeah.
using all the things that are, and it's the same thing, except it's with this frequency and this vibration that comes from the doctor in the sky, sun itself, that's given out. And especially in Scotland, I think where a lot of the time, you may say 6 months of the year, we don't see the sun very much. And it can be dark and it can be long, a long kind of autumn, winter into spring. So if we were interacting as an energy system with the energy system via natural materials, would we feel better? I think the answer is clearly yes. So talk to us, because what you wear, I mean, you arrive at the festival and everybody notices you because you look, you walk the walk, which is what I love. When people do that, they literally walk the walk, and you do that. So tell us what you wear on a daily basis.
So it'll usually range from either a tunic, which is basically just a long woolen shirt, and a pair of trousers, either or perhaps a big plaid, so basically a wool blanket with a belt around it. And I find mostly if I wear a big plaid, a big wool blanket, there's something about the fabric not being cut and not being hemmed and having no seams and it having its full potential still. It's almost like it just lets the energy flow better. So I feel for if I'm doing any kind of a fast or something, I'll sometimes plainly refuse to wear trousers or anything that's like restricting, and that's got a form to it, you know. So I think there's something about that, but that might just be me. But and that's really about it. It's either a big kilt, a wool shirt, a long one or a shorter one, and a pair of trousers, and then my own shoes, which I've been making for like the last 5 years now, and don't wear any other kind of shoes really, and I do everything in them. So yeah, basically it's all wool. I actually struggle sometimes if my phone screen gets wet, that I can't wipe it clean with anything because I have nothing that's just smudging it, you know.
Of course.
And then of course there's the iconic hat as well that a lot of people will have seen. It's just it's a cap that also turns into a beanie that I can put over my ears at night, which is quite handy. So again, multifunctional.
Yeah, and I know for the people, there'll be people watching that have met you at the festivals, and how you can take that one piece of material and turn it into, well, various like kilt, all the different ways that you can wear this bit of material, but also that can be a sleeping bag, it can be a blanket. Somebody's just put, this explains why I love being naked. Yeah, absolutely, Lindsay. Because my daughter, my cousin came to visit me and she'd met my daughter who was 3 walking up the street bollock naked with a pair of wellies on. She didn't obviously have grounding shoes. But kids, and my mum said that when I started talking about grounding at first, she said kids always kick off their shoes, that they don't want them on their feet. It's us that eventually make them wear them because it's just not a natural state. So, and that's what I loved about the kind of accidental workshop that you did in Tarbert. It just put such a light bulb on for me, because it just was an area that I'd never really fully cognitively thought about. And I think you're absolutely right with the fasting. It's, you know, from a Heal Scotland perspective, what we're saying is we're giving you a completely new perspective on what your body is. A very, very exciting energy system, and that interacts with a very intelligent, exciting energy system. And this body did not need you to become what it is right now. There's an intelligence way, way beyond, no matter what your religious or spiritual beliefs are. Know that this body is beyond intelligent. And the unfortunate thing is, as we've got the Western world, you know, when I've travelled a lot in the so-called third world countries and thought, how did we ever get there? Because it's all about selling us stuff, and you know, and you're just like, and the supplement market drives me nuts, because I'm just like, fix the soil and we'll get everything that we need. Nature's providing everything that we need. We don't need to buy things once we really switch on. I've got a photo of me as a kid naked and Yeah, I wish I'd taken a photo of Jelly because she was the one. Yeah, I mean, I think children are very intuitive, but we kind of knock that out of them. It's the same with going to sit down. Sit down. Why? Like, why are we making them sit down? It's mental. And I think the more you learn and the more you understand about the sort of essence of our spiritual beingness, the more you realise that everything was just done for convenience, not for us.
Yeah. Funnily enough, right? Yeah.
I know, yeah, Lindsay, you're right. We've lost our confidence in ourselves and nature. And I say this to people, who want tests, and I understand if you've been given a scary, incurable terminal diagnosis that you want to know if you're getting better or you want to know if you're getting worse. But really, if you feel great, you don't really need a machine to tell you you're great. Just feel and enjoy that, and the trust, the lack of trust that we have in the body, because it's got completely out of hand with the testing, and which usually drives more fear. So I think that interconnection and that going into your intuition, which, when you're talking about fasting, I'm doing a fasting retreat in Skye. That's something I think we will discuss and talk about, how we can bring that whole reconnecting, because fasting obviously gives you a much deeper connection to your meditations and your breath work, and it's godlike. I mean, there's a reason why it's in all these traditions. So it's phenomenally exciting. But to add in the clothing side of it and the non-restrictive side of it, I think could really add another little nice dimension on there. So it's going to be about 2 hours, the workshop, is that right? Anyway, there's only 6 places because I'm definitely making up here.
Yeah, it'll be roughly about an hour or two until people have something that they can bring home or potentially slide their feet into.
And they may have to finish it at home, but everything will be there, ready for us to make our own shoes. Cool. Absolutely cool. Well, listen, thank you so much. I'll put the event up and people can look and see what the program is, because I think people think I've got a photographic memory. They're like, what's on here? What's on there? I'm like, I've got no idea. Look at the website. And the other thing I will say is that please keep an eye on the website online, because it can change. Obviously, we have so many people presenting and life can happen and we have to jig things around. So just make sure that you keep on top of it. We start at 2:00 on Friday. What day is today? A week tomorrow. We start at 2:00, and we've got the introduction, we've got the breath work, obviously, that we kick off with. And it's just a phenomenal lineup. And thank you, Jason, for your support, but also for this unique workshop and connection to the land, to Mother Earth. It's very valuable, and we will talk more, and I'm sure that you're going to have more products. And the plaid that you talk about, you have some for sale at the festival.
Yeah. I'll have 1 or 2 for sale at the festival, and mainly it's the online website of mine that people can really find most at. But
what's the URL for that?
It's stoneofscot.land. So instead of .com, it's .land.
Stone of Scotland.
So Stone of Scotland. But the website is currently kind of out of date. And so it's actually best if people just come up and talk to me at the event. That'd be good.
Okay. I was just thinking for people that are maybe not coming to the festival, but I'm not that. Stoneofscotland.land. There's nothing.
No. Stoneofscot.land. I'll type it in. Stoneofscot.land. Yeah, I'll type it in the chat.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so that people can find you. Awesome. Right, so I will see you in Strontian a week tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes.
And remember, guys, if you want to book to make a pair of shoes, there's 5 places left. It's £40, and you need to email, no DMs, email lilia@healscotland.com and just put shoes on the title, and then you're first come, first served. Okie doke. Thanks, Jason. I'll see you in a week.
Yes, will do. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.